To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm. It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
Akane, I hope you weren't thinking that manhood could help tie a rope. But, if we're going to... Oh my god, if we're going to go with this theory that Nagito committed suicide in the most abstract and impossible way, we need to be able to solve this. Everybody's thinking it's impossible with both of your arms and both of your legs tied up for you to kill yourself in such a manner. And I completely agree. But there's one thing that everybody seems to have forgotten.
To actually tie up
He had
your own
one
arms
free
and
hand.
legs.
Nope!
That's
Nope!
obviously
You
impossible.
piece of shit!
To
Did I ever
actually
mention that
tie
I hate
your
white
own-
noise? There!
No, that's wrong.
Hold on a sec. Isn't that premise flawed?
What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were...
One of those words shouldn't be plural.
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on that, you can't say he was tied up.
That was just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that. But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it.
That's right. Yeah, if you actually think. If we go by the fire actually burned the rope, then something else should be burned. But it wasn't.
I see.
Take a close look at his right sleeve. Even though the rope was burnt up, his sleeve wasn't burned at all. Wouldn't you agree? A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance so it would look like it was burned in the fire.
Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right? He was able to move it freely, right?
Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome! I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
Where did this come from? Okay.
Akane, you should not give it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
Sonia, I don't know what they call that in your country, but in our country they call that prostitution.
That's definitely wrong.
Fine. I just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right?
Have you done this before?
That's not what I meant. I'm talking about Nagito. I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know?
Yeah, that's another problem. He shouldn't have had the use of his right hand.
It's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand.
Ah, that much is obvious.
I mean, unless you throw it in the air and hope for the best.
Hajime, you tricked me! Give me back that Benjamin!
Wait, so you paid me to let me cop a feel? Wait, that makes no sense. You're trying to scam me with your boobs.
Hold on. There should be a way.
Then hurry up and spill it.
Hajime, we're gonna have to explain the impossible again.
If it's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest.
I never gave you anything. A way to stab yourself in the right hand. A way to stab yourself in the right hand. A way that only you could do it. There's got to be an answer for this. Think about the crime scene. Nagito had only one hand free, but somehow it got a knife stuck in it.
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow? And slammed his right hand down on it?
Propped it onto what?
If he just propped the knife, he could have used his bound left hand.
If you're tied up, your arms won't bend that easily. We don't know if his left hand could even reach his right hand.
Theories being thrown around. How did Nagito stab his own hand?
Even if
Well,
Nagito's right hand was
I can
free,
think of one way.
how could he stab his
I
right hand?
I
with
can't
his
believe
right
I can
hand?
actually think of this. And by the way,
If
if
he
you've
threw the
noticed,
knife into the air,
pieces of the dialogue are
And let the
actually
knife
going to start
fall.
covering each other.
could
Such
he
as
stab
right
his
here.
hand that way?
So you're going to have to be careful on where you
Is
shoot.
he a throwing knife expert?
No, it should be the next statement.
Maybe he propped the knife somehow?
I agree.
I agree with that. The life-size Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to prop the knife.
He's got to do some mad trickery with this.
Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in the plushie's stomach.
Right.
He inserted the knife handle into that hole to prop it up. Then he slammed his hand onto it.
Oh god, that just made me cringe. Oh, can you imagine that?
If that's it, he had to place the plushie near him. And it also explains the mysterious blood on the plushie.
So the blood on the plushie came from Nagito after he stabbed the knife into his own right hand.
God, Nagito, what's wrong with you? Oh,
I see. So that's the trick.
But for a moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
You can't kill the immortal! A bleeding plushie is super scary! It's got the same fear factor as a doll whose hair grows too long!
or a doll whose hair grows at all.
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie, so he cast it off toward the fire's origin point.
He probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now, Fuyuhiko?
I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem. The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear, right? If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito. If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it and his left hand was all tied up.
Then he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain, he stabbed the knife into his right hand.
Not likely. That spear is a killer. That is the killing blow.
There is a limit to his constitution.
I mean, not a lot of people can say, oh yeah, I stabbed myself with a spear first, and then I jabbed my right hand.
If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
God damn it, Sonia! This is why I love you. Shut up.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Stop talking, please. I'm trying not to laugh at this.
Like I said, if you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Danganronpa! Say it one more time. I need you recorded. For reasons.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out!
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear. It'd be hard to use a spear with a knife stab into your right hand while your left hand is tied up.
So you're saying it's impossible?
Again, this is the third time we've run into something that's impossible.
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was caused by someone else. I also agree with that. To think that one of us could kill someone with such cruelty, I could never believe that.
You say you can't believe it? You just don't want to believe it, right? But that's why you keep getting betrayed over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
You just shut your mouth. It's against the rules to interfere with everyone. If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
Monami is becoming dramatic!
Monome's sassing me!
You getting it right back, Monokuma. Triple snap.
But it's just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over and over again so far, so... This might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it's too convenient.
Convenient, yes. Too much for granted, yeah. But that's the only way it's possible.
Then are you saying there is a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Care to come forward?
Of course that doesn't include Miss Sonia and me.
Wait, why are you excluded?
As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
Do you really think so?
But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition.
I did say difficult, but I never said impossible.
And here's where we make the impossible possible again. I'm sure those of you who are watching have probably already figured it out. But there is a way.
I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear.
What kind of way?
A very ingenious way.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
It's impossible to figure out by myself. So let's think about it together.
Well, there we go.
That's how. We made it this far up till now.
Little group discussion never hurt.
Everyone working together.
Friendship will solve murders. Right. This deserves discussion. We've already solved so many impossibilities, what's one more?
All right, let's do this.
Let's do this.
How did Nagito stab himself with a spear? Let's work together and think this through. When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand. If that's the case, the only other way is...
He used his teeth? Or maybe he used his front tail. I know guys have tails that get hard when they're grabbed.
What are you saying?
A blushing Miss Sonia is freaking awesome!
The comedic stylings of Akane Awari and Sonia Nevermind. Oh my gosh. So many bad things happening. Come on, guys. There is a way. Think about the murder weapon itself. It had a special feature, a special function, if you will. It had two parts of its deadly, I guess, design? Yeah, let's go with deadly
How
design.
did Nagito stab himself with a spear?
Well, I could think of a way.
Let's work together.
I mean, it's not the
and
same
think
as
this
the
through.
knife where he just, took his hand
When
and
the spear
jabbed it into a
stabbed
knife.
Nagito,
Oh, God, that's
His
so
right
terrible.
hand was covered by the knife, right?
But there is a way. He didn't
was only
use his
able to
other
move his
hand
left
because
hand.
that had a knife in it.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Which means...
Then that rules out his left hand.
No, it does not!
If that's the case, the only
Damn
other
it!
way is...
Distracted by
But
front
his left
tails
hand
and
was
all of that
also
talk.
tied up.
God,
Then that
grabbed
rules
one
out
hard.
his left
Akane, why? No, Akane, why?
That's the case, the only other way rules out
God,
his
forget about the Benjamin! No, don't you dare! There!
No, that's wrong.
Not gonna miss it a third time. Guys, he had another hand!
Hold on. It's still too early to dismiss the possibility that he used his left hand.
Why? I mean, his left hand was tied up, you know?
But there was something off about his left hand. The bloodstain on the palm of his hand. Don't you think it looked somewhat strange? He only had blood on the lower area of his palm. Beyond that point, the bloodstain suddenly cuts off, right?
When the blood splattered, that's as far as it reached, right?
That settles the description of that bloodstain, but it's not the only unnatural bloodstain.
Right, there was some blood somewhere else that needs explaining.
Look, there's blood on the back of his hand, around the middle joints of his fingers.
Like you said, it looks like an unnatural bloodstain, but what's wrong with that?
We might need to think and use our imaginations for a bit. If there's blood on his palm and the back of his hand, what was his left hand doing as the blood splattered?
I can think of something. Actually do this with your own hand. Grip your hand. If you were doing that, there would be blood on your fingers and on the lower part of the palm of your hand. He was holding on to something.
I see! When the blood splattered, he was probably gripping with his left hand. That's why there's such a strange-looking bloodstain on his palm and the back of his hand.
Was he grabbing his front tail?
That is one long front tail.
Perish the thought! He was obviously grabbing the spear!
Well, no, it wasn't that straight, and you know what, never mind.
Now that you mention it, compared to the rest of his body, the wounds on his left arm are pretty mild. He probably made his wounds mild on purpose, so he could keep his strength while he gripped the spear.
But even if he held the spear with his tied-up left hand, it'd be impossible for him to stab himself.
Correct, which is why I brought up the weapon's deadly description. Or whatever I called it.
Hey, Chiaki, what do you think? Hey, don't tell me you're getting sleepy.
At times like this, you should always strike from a good angle. Just like fixing an old TV.
Makes perfect sense. What?
Oh, I got it. Maybe.
What do you got?
Really?
All we needed was TV talk.
Yeah, like I thought. It's no mistake that Nagito was gripping the spear, I think. However, what's important is what section of the spear he was gripping.
Thank you. Yeah, the spear has two parts to it. The blade, or the actual spear, and the cord, used to whip people towards you.
I see! That's it! Instead of the handle, Nagito must have been holding on to the cord. There was a metal weight at the tip of the cord, but there were bloodstains on that part too. Plus, the joint between the weight and the cord had a bloodstain shaped like it was cut off by something.
Isn't the size of that cut-off section about the same size as a human fist?
I would agree.
Ah, you're right. So this is the part Nagito was gripping, huh?
Looks nothing like a front tail.
And then the blood that was supposed to end up here ended up getting on Nagito's left hand.
But why is it so important to know which part of the spear he was gripping?
You're not gonna say he gripped the tip of the cord, swung the spear around, and stabbed himself, right?
No, this is even more ingenious. That's what makes this case so complicated. Nagito thought of every single conceivable angle.
That is where the clue to solve this mystery resides, right, Chiaki? I am sorry. Of course this mystery will not be solved that easily.
Well, of course not, but that's what makes this case so much fun. If Nagito was gripping the cord, his right hand, done for. It has a knife in it. But he's holding the cord. How was he going to stab himself with a spear? A spear with a cord.
It seems we are stuck. Shall we have tea time?
Seconded. I want some tea.
At a time like this, how about we stick to the plan to think one step at a time instead of expecting the answers all at once?
Would you call that plan TPTTOSAATIOETAAAT? Oh, wow! I can't even say that quickly.
That's a long plan name.
Yeah.
One step at a time? What does that mean? Let's focus on the spear first. Namely, where it was and how it was positioned just before it impaled Nagito.
I like that, and a lot of you at home have probably figured this out already.
How it was positioned.
Nagito facing up, spear stabbed down through him. If the spear was able to stab directly down into him, where should it have been? This is important. This is how he was able to pull off the impossible crime. This is how he was able to kill himself in such a brutal manner. Let me guess. Logic dive? Gotta think. How did he stab himself with a spear and do it so flawlessly? Oh my god, this is so terrible. I've lost so much health. That clever SOB Nagito not only made it so that he looked like he was tortured, had a knife stabbed through his hand, which was self-inflicted that we know now, he also hung the spear above himself and killed himself like that.
It's all coming together!